Hello, fam. Welcome to my channel. I have another interesting story for you today, so please sit down, relax, and enjoy. Mama Ekaite was a very hardworking woman. Her hands, weathered by years of diligent work, held stories of countless children she had nurtured. For 10 years, she had been the backbone of the Adebayo household. Mr. Adebayo, a renowned architect, and Mrs. Adebayo, a respected medical doctor, were a power couple. Their careers thriving thanks to Mama Ekaite's unwavering dedication. She was more than a nanny. She was family. She walked before the sun, preparing the children, Temi and Femi, for school. She packed their lunches with care and ensured their homework was done before their parents returned home from work. Her gentle voice soothed their fears. Her laughter filled the house with joy, and her wisdom guided them through childhood trials. Mama Ekaite was a pillar of strength and patience. She knew Temi's favorite bedtime stories, the one about the mischievous tortoise, and Femi's knack for hiding his toys under the sofa. She celebrated their triumphs, comforted them during their disappointments, and taught them values that were rapidly vanishing in the fast paced city. One hot afternoon, as Mama Ekaite was preparing dinner, Mrs. Adebayo called her into their room. Mr. Adebayo sat beside her, his face etched with a strange mix of discomfort and resolve. Mama Ekaite, Mrs. Adebayo began, her voice unusually formal. We have something to tell you. Mama Ekaite's heart skipped a beat. She had never been summoned like this before. We, we've decided to let you go, Mr. Adebayo said, his gaze avoiding hers. A wave of disbelief washed over Mama Ekaite. Let me go? But why? What have I done? No, it's not you, Mama Ekaite. You've not done anything wrong. We found someone younger, someone with more modern methods, Mrs. Adebayo explained, her tone apologetic but firm. We need someone who can keep up with the children's evolving needs. But, but I've been here for you 10 years. Mama Ekaite's voice trembled. I have raised Temi and Femi since they were babies. I'm family. We know. We know, Mama Ekaite, Mr. Adebayo said, his voice softer now. We appreciate everything you've done, but we believe this is for the best. Mama Ekaite felt a sharp pain in her chest, as if something was lodged in her throat. She had poured her life into this family, sacrificing her own dreams and aspirations. Now she was being dismissed like an old worn out garment. She left the Adebayo household with a small bag containing her few belongings and a heavy heart. The streets of Lagos, once familiar and welcoming, now seemed cold and indifferent. She had no savings because she had sent everything to the village for her building project. No other source of income. Her village was so far away and it no longer felt like home. She had spent all her life in the city. The next few months were a blur of hardship and desperation. Mama Ekaite slept in makeshift shelters. She ate from the kindness of strangers and searched tirelessly for work. But jobs were scarce, and her age and lack of formal education were constant barriers. She found herself cleaning market stalls in order to afford her daily needs. Her hands, once so gentle, became hard and rough. One day, while cleaning a restaurant, she observed a conversation between two men. They were expatriates, engineers from a foreign country, and they were looking for a housekeeper. Someone reliable, someone who could manage a house, one of them said. Mama Ekaite, her heart pounding with hope, approached them. Excuse me, sirs, she said, her voice trembling slightly. Um, I'm a very good housekeeper. I have many years of experience. The men looked at her with skepticism, but something in her eyes convinced them to give her a chance. We need someone who can start immediately, one of them said, and someone who can manage a team of cleaners. Mama Ekaite's eyes widened. She had never managed a team before, but she was a quick learner. I can do it, sirs, she said, her voice firm. I promise you will not be disappointed. She kept her promise. The expatriates, Mr. Smith and Mr. Jones, were impressed by her work ethic, her attention to detail, and her ability to manage the household with efficiency and grace. She quickly became an indispensable part of their lives, managing their large villa and coordinating the other house staff. She learned their routines, their preferences, and she also cooked their favorite meals, kept their homes spotless, and even learned a few phrases in their language. They treated her with respect and kindness, recognizing her worth and valuing her experience. Meanwhile, back at the Adebayo household, chaos reigned. The new nanny, a young girl named Choma, was nothing like Mama Ekaite. She was a typical Gen Z baddie who spent more time on her phone, on apps like TikTok and Snapchat, than with the children she came to care for. Temi and Femi missed Mama Ekaite's gentle guidance and her comforting presence. They became withdrawn and rebellious, their grades slipping, their laughter fading. Mrs. Adebayo, overwhelmed by the chaos, tried to manage the household herself, but her demanding job left her exhausted and frustrated. Mr. Adebayo, equally burdened by his work, found himself neglecting his family. One evening, as Mrs. Adebayo was trying to bathe Femi, she found a bruise on his arm. Choma had been rough with him. She was impatient and careless. Tears welled up in Mrs. Adebayo's eyes. She realized the terrible mistake she had made. They had sacrificed their children's well being for the sake of convenience and for the illusion of modernity. We need to find Mama Ekaite, she said to Mr. Adebayo. Her voice filled with regret. We need her back. They searched for her, asking neighbors, friends, and even former colleagues. But Mama Ekaite had vanished, leaving no trace. Weeks turned into months, and the Adebayo household continued to spiral into disarray. Mrs. Adebayo, consumed by guilt and regret, found it increasingly difficult to focus on her work. She made mistakes, missed deadlines, and her reputation began to suffer. One day, while attending a medical conference, she overheard a conversation between two expatriate doctors. They were praising their housekeeper, a woman named Mama Ekaite, who had transformed their lives. Mrs. Adebayo's heart leaped. Could it be the same Mama Ekaite? She approached the doctors and asked them about their housekeeper, about who they were talking about, and they showed her a picture. Mrs. Adebayo's eyes filled with tears. It was Mama Ekaite, looking older, but with the same gentle smile and quiet strength. She asked about where they resided, and they gave her the address. With her heart pounding with anticipation, she found Mama Ekaite in the garden, tending to flowers. Mama Ekaite, she cried, her voice trembling. Mama Ekaite turned, her eyes widening in surprise. Mrs. Adebayo, what are you doing here? Mama Ekaite looked left and looked right, hoping that no one caught her. Mama Ekaite, we've missed you so much, Mrs. Adebayo said, tears streaming down her face. We made a terrible mistake. Please come back to us. The children miss you. We miss you too. Mama Ekaite looked at her with her eyes filled with a mixture of sadness and understanding. Mrs. Adebayo, she said softly, I appreciate your offer, but I cannot come back. I have found a new home, a new family, and I'm happy here. But, but the children, Mrs. Adebayo pleaded, they need you. They will be fine, Mama Ekaiti said. They have you. You will learn to be their mother, the mother they need, just like I was the nanny they needed. Mrs. Adebayo's shoulders slumped. She realized that Mama Ekaiti was right. She had to take responsibility for her own children, to be the mother they deserved. That evening, she returned home with a heavy heart, but also with a newfound determination. She resigned from her demanding job, choosing to focus on her family. She spent more time with Temi and Femi, listening to their stories and playing with them, and also nurturing their dreams. It wasn't easy. She struggled with the loss of her professional identity, with the financial strain, and with the constant guilt. But slowly, she began to rebuild her relationship with her children, to rediscover the joy of motherhood. Mr. Adebayo, seeing his wife's transformation, also made changes in his life. He reduced his workload and spent more time at home, and he became more involved in his children's lives. The Adebayo household, once a place of chaos and neglect, slowly transformed into a heaven of love and laughter. Temi and Femi thrived under their parents' care. Their grades improved and their laughter filled the house once again. Thank you, my dear viewers, for watching. I hope you did enjoy it. Let me know in the comment section what part of the story you enjoyed the most. Till I come your way again next time with more interesting stories. Bye.